You know I like to bring out the receipts here on the Midas Touch Network. You know I like to bring out the evidence to expose these Trump cover-ups, like the one that's unfolding before our eyes. They had the right-wing influencers hold up the binder and said, "We got the files." And I said, those weren't the files. That's the call log of Epstein that was released years ago.
And Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and a pile of FBI files people don't want you to see. Why are statements changing? And why did Epstein's files vanish off the DOJ's priority list? The connections don't just raise eyebrows, they scream for answers. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
His deputy FBI director is Dan Bongino. So Kash Patel goes on Fox last night and he says that, "I promise you that Epstein died by suicide." And by the way, Trump's name was on those. So let me just break down what went down. So last night you had Kash Patel on Fox. Kash Patel is somehow the FBI director right now. I promised you that's what went down. And then Kash Patel also said, "I'm not going to let you know when we're going to release the Epstein files. We're working on it. We're working through it."
Imagine being Kash Patel or Dan Bongino. Loud, relentless voices demanding the Epstein files get released immediately. They insisted nothing should stand in the way of the truth. The files, they said, held the key to holding the elites accountable. Fast forward to now, and suddenly their tune has more notes of hesitation than a bad karaoke night. Patel's energy has dampened, his recent remarks pointing out that the files are complicated and might take years to sort through. This is the same guy who once said on his podcast that burying the Epstein story was the final nail in the public's trust in the FBI. So, what happened? Then you've got Bongino, who practically made a career out of torching institutions like the DOJ on his show, calling them the swampiest of the swamp every chance he got.
And Bongino, weren't you out there making all of those statements about Epstein as well? We've got the receipts here on the Midas Touch Network. And didn't you previously say, Kash Patel, when you were a right-wing podcaster before becoming the FBI director, that these files could be released right away, and that's what you were going to do? Like my past job when I was a litigator, I'm going to bring out all of the evidence to all the Midas Touch viewers right now, and I'm going to show how the cover-up is actually playing out. Should we do that together?
Lately, though, he's pivoted, casually endorsing the idea that Epstein's suicide was the end of the story, the kind of narrative he previously would have laughed off. It's like watching a guy who spent years yelling, "Fire!" suddenly hand you marshmallows for roasting. What's even more telling is how neither of them seem interested in pushing for those files, which they used to argue had the potential to take down not just Epstein's associates, but bigger power players too. Experts wonder if their role reversals are tied to political pressures. Critics have pointed to the fact that both Patel and Bongino have worked closely with Trump's camp, and now seem less willing to ruffle feathers in institutions where they once saw nothing but corruption.
On the internet is the Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there.
There is a lot of conspiracy theories out there.
There are.
The Epstein thing, you dealt with Maria, you said, as far as you know, he killed himself.
I'm telling you, he killed himself.
Simple. One subpoena to the FBI. Give me the list. Oh, you don't want to give me the list and you're going to break the law and commit contempt of Congress? We're going to take your money.
Pretty convenient, right? Suddenly, the narrative goes from hold them all accountable to the more tailored let it play out. Here's the kicker. If they're no longer interested in digging, who benefits? Sure seems like they're going out of their way to leave Trump's name out of it. Whether they're slow walking it under orders or just playing it smart for possible career moves, one thing's for sure, their dramatic change in tone isn't a coincidence. And speaking of vanishing momentum, didn't Pam Bondi once claim to have those Epstein files right on her desk? Let's talk about what she found, or didn't. Pam Bondi once said the Epstein files were sitting right on her desk, ready to review, and the world braced for some bombshell revelations. She promised swift action, transparency, and a commitment to justice. She made it sound like the files contained dynamite and all she had to do was light the fuse. But in the years since her big declaration, the files have apparently done the exact opposite of blowing up, because now they're nowhere to be seen. For someone who spoke with so much certainty, it's strange how quickly silence seemed to take over. When Bondi first made that claim, it followed Trump's directive for the DOJ to dig into Epstein's connections with the same urgency as his orders on the JFK and MLK files. Transparency was the big word everyone liked to throw around. Yet here we are, still waiting for the Justice Department, or Bondi herself, to produce anything remotely resembling action. The bold words, the desk, the files, it's all vanished, like a magician's trick nobody asked for.
Who is currently holding, this is way off the topic, but who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is, I mean, there's...
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
We're not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing.
Even Trump ally Tom Fitton has been left in the dark. He's filed Freedom of Information Act requests to get access to the files, and over again, rejected. Whatever's in those papers, the DOJ clearly doesn't want them getting out. Legal experts and transparency advocates have pointed out that this kind of delay doesn't just frustrate curious minds, it chips away at public trust. When the government keeps documents like these locked up, average people start wondering exactly who they're trying to protect. And who's the name that always seems to float to the top of those speculations? Trump. The lack of action on Bondi's part, paired with the DOJ's stonewalling, has created an air of suspicion so thick you'd need a chainsaw to cut through it.
I was briefed on that yesterday. I can't talk about that publicly, but President Trump has given a very strong directive, and that's going to be followed.
Wow. Okay. So
A lot of documents.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files.
yeah. Okay. All right. So people can expect actual movement on this. It's not just empty promises.
Oh, Donald Trump doesn't make empty promises.
Yeah, right.
I think promises made, promises.
So now we're left asking, is this another quiet favor for Trump? Maybe the real bombshell isn't what Bondi promised us, but the reason she and others are so busy dodging the fallout. Could those secrets already tie Trump a little too close to Epstein's world? Let's see what we can uncover. The Epstein files aren't just gathering dust. They're holding secrets that could blow the lid off some of the most powerful players, Trump included. His name is already tied to Epstein's world through deposition transcripts and flight logs, and the alleged underage connections tied to Trump properties make it impossible to ignore. So why are these files being locked away by the DOJ? Each day of silence only fuels suspicion and chips away at public trust. Who stands to gain from hiding the truth? If transparency matters, then demand it. Keep watching. We're not done uncovering this mess yet. Stay curious.